Hi, my name's Tammy, and I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel, From Gratitude to Greatness. I began this channel, I think it was last spring, and every so often I would just pop on with a bit of gratitude. I would just speak about whatever I was grateful for on that day. But now I'd like to expand it to something a little different, still including gratitude in everything that I do, but I want to show you a bit of my life. I'm 63 years old. I am a wife and a mother of 2 grown boys. I have 1 grandchild and another grandchild on the way. And I just do different things, throughout my days. And I'm going to share that with you, maybe give you some ideas. I enjoy cooking, so it will involve a bit of cooking. I enjoy the outdoors and gardening. I'm a spiritual person. I practice mediumship, trance mediumship, and energy healing. And I belong to groups where we practice that. I'm just starting a course on medical astrology with Judith Hill online. So I don't know. I'd love to travel. So I will have bits of travel advice, or not necessarily advice, but showing you where I've been, where you may want to go sometime in your life. I take cooking classes when I travel, so I've learned to make different things from different countries where I've been. I was a catering chef for most of my life, I guess, my grown-up life. And I do that every once in a while still. I have a little bit of problems with my hands now, getting arthritis as I get older, so I can't use the knife and lift the heavy pans so much anymore. Catering is like hard work. Yeah, and more heavy lifting than you would know, and a lot of chopping. But anyway, that's what I always enjoyed to do, planning parties and doing food for catered events. Yeah, gardening. I have little gardens, and so I enjoy gardening. But anyway, I thought I would expand this. It would give me something more to do throughout my day. Just share what I do. And I'm computer illiterate, so my videos won't be perfect. And I'm gonna, show you the real me. So there's gonna be mistakes. And I, just go along with it, because everybody's perfect. And you're going along with me on my journey of learning about YouTube and how to make videos. So you can see as I grow, get a little better with it. Anyway, I like to take walks. I live near the beach in the Pacific Northwest. So it's probably like a block from my house. And I live by some wetlands, so it's really beautiful. There's a lot of eagles, and you see bunnies hopping around, and raccoons, and there's coyotes, unfortunately, because I have 2 cats. And so I'm always worried about that. But anyway, this next video that is connected to this is a cooking. It's just a couple recipes for the football game that we had on Saturday, the Seahawks versus 49ers, and I didn't get the video out before the game, so you can see that in the video. I did make, a couple mistakes, so one I was making guacamole, and another one I was making refried beans. They're not really a refried bean dip. And I made a couple mistakes. I called them hors d'oeuvres when really they're dips, chip dips. So I don't know how to edit that out without just totally messing it up. So that's not edited. I was cooking chorizo to put in my pot of beans, and I lost the video, or I didn't record it properly, so you don't see me putting the chorizo in with the beans. So anyway, I'll put the recipe below my video so you can check it out. But just bear with me. I'm going to be here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays with a new thing that I'm doing every day. I think the next video on Wednesday, I'm making a present for my husband's birthday with epoxy. I'm making him a little epoxy table. And I've never done that before. So you can watch and learn from my mistakes. Hopefully it turns out. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I'm really grateful for that. And I hope to see you again each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe after the video, and be sure to leave some comments, okay? So anyway, on to the video. Thank you for joining me. Good morning. My name's Tammy, and I'd like to welcome you to my YouTube channel, From Gratitude to Greatness. Today, I'm grateful the Seahawks are playing the 49ers in the first playoff game, so I'm grateful for that. I'm gonna make a couple little appetizers for the game for when my husband gets home. Anyway, I'm gonna make refried beans, and these are my Avocados beans. I'm actually gonna make a dip. But these are Mayacoba beans. They come from the Sinaloa region of Mexico. And when I first lived in Mexico, I ate Mayacoba beans with everything, because that's what they do in Mexico. Good protein. But they're very tasty. They're my favorite kind of beans to eat. Further down in southern Mexico, like Oaxaca, they eat more black beans. So I'm going to show you how to do these. But first, what I'm going to do, I have a pot with some water already. And I'm going to take about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Got about 4 cups of beans in there. I covered with a little over double the amount of water. You don't need to measure. I mean, just, cover them and add about the same amount of water. So they're, it's a couple inches above the beans. Anyway, so I'm gonna just put those aside right now. So to my 3 avocados, I am gonna add cilantro, and I've washed all my vegetables. Be sure that you always wash your vegetables well when you get them at the store. There's so many recalls these days, even of the pre-washed stuff. Pre-washed lettuce, romaine especially. So you always want to be cautious and clean your vegetables. It's hard to trust where your food comes from anymore unless you grow it yourself or buy from a local small farm. So I always recommend during the times when you can to buy from your local farm. So that's about 1 bunch of cilantro there. And then I don't know if I'm going to use all of this onion. It's a medium-sized onion, and I'm going to use, probably 1/3 of it. Depending how strong your onion is. This is a sweet onion, but it's still got a little bit of a strong flavor, I noticed. So I'm gonna, you want to kind of chop it pretty fine so people don't bite into a big old bite of onion. You never know when the Seahawks win who you might be kissing, so keep the breath a little bit fresh. Anyway, yes, when I moved to Mexico, I first moved to Mazatlan, and I loved Mexican food before I went there, but then I loved it even more after I got there. In Mazatlan, there was this restaurant called Guacamole, and what it wasn't really a restaurant. It was kind of wasn't even a food truck. It was 4 tables under a guacamole tree, and then there was, I think, kind of a large cart and tables, and they would have fresh shrimp cocktails, oyster whatever. I mean, seafood. They had seafood, and oh my gosh, the shrimp cocktails were like, so huge and so good. Not like our shrimp cocktails here with cocktail sauce, but with like lime and this kind of chili called guacamole chili, and they put cucumbers and onion, a little bit of jalapeno, cilantro, and a lot of lime juice, and then you add your guacamole salsa, and that was my favorite thing to eat. So I ate a ton of shrimp cocktails there. Fresh large shrimp. But over the years, gosh, that was like, how many years ago? That was like 30 years ago, maybe 35 years ago, when I first moved there. And now, Guacamole, I don't know how many they actually turned into restaurants. I think there's 4 of them, and they're huge, and they're packed full of people at the hour of comida. In Mexico, they eat their main meal around 3 or 4. They take a break from work. The husbands or wives come home, and they have their main meal then, and then they go back to work. So that was my favorite place to eat. So every time I go back there, I gotta eat there. Anyway, I'm chopping. I guess I'm gonna chop 2 tomatoes, not 3, for this. Anyway, there was another place. Gosh, I met my ex-husband in Mazatlan, and there were times we ended up living together, and there were good times and bad times in the way of our money situation. And there was a time when we were having problems, and my husband at that time he went away for 2 weeks, and I was kind of left there without any money to buy food or whatever. And there was this little a local market, and gosh, I forgot the name of it. Anyway, there were a lot of little food booths where everybody goes to eat their breakfast, lunch, or their comida. And I would go to the market, and this one lady named Alicia, she would, make me breakfast or lunch, whatever, and not charge me at that time. Eventually, I paid her back, and now, of course, every time I go there, I take her gifts and go eat with her. But what a kind lady, she was, she still is, she's such a kind lady, and, not so well off, and she always was there to help me out, and I'm so grateful for her. People pass through our lives, and You know, sometimes you forget about them, but sometimes they leave a really big print on your life. And Alicia left a really, really big print on my life. So anyway, I put in half a jalapeno in there. And you can take the seeds out if you like it less hot. Leave the seeds in if you like it a little bit hotter. Now this is a jar of garlic, and I add olive oil to it because I break open a bunch of garlic at one time, or I buy a bag of garlic that's already peeled. And I soak it in olive oil, keep it in the fridge. I pull it out, and if I just want a little bit of garlic flavor, I just will add a little bit of the oil instead of the chopped garlic, so nobody bites into the raw garlic. You could put garlic powder or granulated garlic as well, maybe 3/4 of a teaspoon or half a teaspoon, depending on your likes. But I prefer to do it that way because I just had it. And if I have my molcajete, which is the pedestal and mortar type thing, I would be making it in there. But my husband took it because he thought it would be a nice decoration in his fish tank. So I don't have it anymore. I need to buy a new one. I mean, I do have like a mini one that I crush my kitty's pills up with every morning. But this is nice. It's going to be a chunky, you know, a chunky guacamole. I'm just smooshing it with my fork. There we go. It's looking pretty good. Now I have all my seasonings here, but first I'm going to add my limes. And when you buy limes in the store, sometimes it's very difficult to find good limes. You want the thinner skinned, and you want softer. You don't want those big ones that look better with the real green skin, because you hardly get any juice out of those. So these thinner skinned, it's even off color a little bit, but yeah, you want them a little squishy because they're juicier. So I'm going to slice them in half. And if you use a lot of limes, this handy dandy lime squisher is an excellent choice. When I first moved back from Mexico, I couldn't really find them around here. But now you can get it at Walmart, or, you know, support a Hispanic tienda and go buy one there as well. So for now, I'm gonna squish in 3 limes. Let me see. And then I'll end up tasting it at the end because I may want to add more. Always taste what you make before you serve it. Because the tomatoes, the jalapenos, the limes, they always have a different flavor at different times of the year. So use your taste buds. Don't just count on me the way I mean, put the normal things in like I am, but you can season it a little heavier, a little lighter in different ways. So another thing that I learned when I was in Mexico, if you want to clean your fingernails after you're done using a lime, go to your sink and dig your fingernails into the lime, and it will help whiten them up. Or just soak them in a little bowl with some lime juice. I don't have any fingernails right now. Usually I go get mine done, but yeah, haven't got there. Haven't got to the nail salon there. So okay, so I added my lime. Now I have cumin, and I'm gonna take about a teaspoon, sprinkle it in there. I have coriander. I'm gonna get about a teaspoon in there. Red pepper flakes, I'm just adding a few, maybe a quarter, only. I'm not adding too many. I'm just putting a quarter of a teaspoon. You don't have to, I like them, so. I have a little bit of chili powder. And in Mexico, I would say they don't usually put all these seasonings in, but I like them. So I'm putting half a teaspoon in there. And salt. I'm gonna take, gosh, I put half a teaspoon right now, but after you have it all mixed together and made, you taste it and see if it needs more salt or not, because everybody has their likes and dislikes on the salt, and some people can't have salt. Ooh, let's see. I'm gonna grab a spoon so I can taste it. I don't have my chips yet. I haven't gone to the store, but that's about perfect. Perfect on the lime juice. Might need just a little bit more salt. But like I said, if you like more cumin, any of the spices or garlic or whatever, you know, just add to your flavor, to your, I'm flustered here. Add to your your likes, whatever you like. But there's my guacamole. Let me find a dish. Like my little Mexican dish here. I found it at Value Village, I believe. But it's so cute, so anyway. I wish I had some chips. But I like to get fresh made chips from a local Mexican restaurant. And I buy them fresh out of the fryer. So they weren't open early this morning, so I haven't gotten them yet. But anyway, here we go. Here's our luscious, scrumptious guacamole. So now I'm on to my Ocoba beans. So we have our pot here. I think I put 4 cups of beans in there. And then I covered with about 2 inches of water. You always want to have plenty of water so they can swell up properly. I have about 1.5 onions here. And I'm using, I think this one is a sweet onion. So just peeling it off. And I always compost. Got my little compost bowl here. I'll go put it outside in a bit. Now these I'm not gonna slice up finely. I'm just gonna, you know, cut up roughly like that. So then I'm just gonna break them apart. Break them apart and put them in my pan here. You can even add a little bit more onion. They're gonna cook for, you know, several hours, so just breaking it up. Anyway, yes, to my refried beans, I don't add any oil. Usually after a Mexican person would cook their beans, they will add, fry them up in some lard or oil. And I prefer not to do that. And here I'm gonna take a few cloves of garlic, just whole, just throw them in, 3. Maybe a little bit of oil just from the garlic. Everything's better with garlic and onions. Okay, and then here I have a jalapeno. Again, I'm only gonna use half, and I'm gonna leave the seeds. And just roughly cut those. I cut it in 4 pieces, stick it in there. And then I'm back to my cumin and chili powder and everything. So I'm gonna take tablespoon of cumin. 3/4 of a tablespoon of coriander. And 3/4 of a tablespoon of chili powder. And you need a lot of salt for beans because they really soak up. So I'm gonna put, this is a 1/4 cup, but I'm gonna put like half of it, 1/8 of a cup of salt in there. You can always add more after it cooks. Oops, I forgot tomato. Gonna put, just roughly put some tomato in. There we go. Gonna give it a little stir. Now I'm gonna put these on the stove to cook for several hours. I'll keep an eye on them. I may have to add some more water. So let's put them on the stove. So now I have a package of chorizo, and I'm gonna fry the chorizo up in this pan right here. Just gonna crumble it up. My gas didn't come on. Anyway, I'm gonna crumble it up here. And don't buy the kind, what is it, kakike, I think it's called, in the tube. Oh, it's got so much greasy, stringy stuff in it, and it just melts down to nothing. So this is just a brand they make at the local store. So I prefer this. Or you can get it at a little Mexican tienda. They probably have some really good chorizo there. Support their businesses. So anyway, so I'm just gonna cook this thoroughly. And as you can see, I have gloves on. If you don't have gloves, make sure that after you crumble or touch any part of the pork that you wash your hands thoroughly. And any part of the counter that you, or you set your chorizo, clean and sanitize it so you don't have any cross-contamination there. So anyway, I'm just gonna cook this up, and then I'll strain the oil off of it into a cup to throw away. And then I'll add it when my beans are close to being done. I will add it to my beans. So here you see my beans have really swollen up, and I've added quite a bit of water. So you just keep a close eye on them, and just keep adding water until they get quite soft. These are still a bit hard. So, but now I have some pickled jalapeno peppers, and as you can see, they have carrots inside as well. Oops, I just dumped on my burner. Anyway, I just add those as well, some carrots. We're gonna mash up the beans, or actually I'm gonna grind them up in a blender quicker. But I'm just gonna take the whole jalapeno, that doesn't have much of a stem, and throw it in there. Actually, I might break them apart. Here, I'm gonna take the stem off of this one. You can break them apart so the seeds come out. These add a nice flavor to the beans. I really like them. But I might add, if you're not a spicy person, maybe add one or omit the previous fresh jalapeno we put in there. But I'm adding a couple, and then I'm pouring just a little bit of the vinegar right in there. Maybe 1/8 of a cup, that would be. But anyway, you get these down the Mexican aisle at your local supermarket or any Mexican tienda close to you. So add those in. Now, Just give it a little swirl. Put the lid back on, and we'll just let them cook till they're a bit softer. Okay, my beans are all cooked. Here they are. They're a little bit thick, so you might have to add water as you blend them in your blender. I have a really good blender, so it works fine for mine, but depending on the type you have, it might be a little more difficult. But I don't have a masher. I don't know what happened to the masher. Otherwise, I would mash them by hand. But I'm just going to blend these in my blender. There we go. Just a little bit at a time. Put it in my little dish here for my bean dip. I'm going to do one more little bit here. There we are. Now I'm waiting for my husband to get home with the chips so we can have them while we watch the game. Pour it in. There we go. And then I have mozzarella cheese, but in Mexico they would use Oaxaca, Chihuahua, something like that, or not at all actually. So I'm not only going to put it on the top, I think I'm going to stir it in because it's nice when they're nice and cheesy. So they should melt right up because the beans are making the cheese really hot and melty and scrumptious. And everybody loves these beans. When I used to make them for my kids, I still do make them for my kids actually. They just eat up like all the time, just rolled up in a tortilla. So they're quite tasty. I always get a lot of compliments from them. And then I'll put some on the top. That will look all nice. So there's our bean dip. You also could make carne asada. Make carne asada tacos and spread a little beans on them before you put the bean. So anyway, thank you for joining me. I will see you next time. Enjoy the football game. Seahawks are gonna be winning.